They say the Crocodile River never forgets. It only waits. In the quiet village of Umuoka, a jealous stepmother made a decision that would shake the earth, anger the spirits, and awaken something ancient beneath the waters. She smiled sweetly. She called her daughter. Then she pushed her into a river filled with crocodiles. But what happened next was not death. It was destiny. Because the river did not swallow the innocent girl. It crowned her. And when she rose again, glowing from beneath the waters, the village realized something terrifying. The river remembers injustice. And it always returns what was taken. Will the stepmother escape the consequences of her wickedness? Or will regret become the punishment she can never outrun? This is the story of jealousy, spirits, mercy, and the girl who came back from the Crocodile River. Stay with me. What you're about to hear will change the way you see revenge forever. In the village of Umuoka, where red earth stained the feet and palm trees whispered secrets to the wind, lived a girl named Amara. She was 15, slender as a young bamboo stalk, with skin that glowed like polished mahogany under the sun. After her mother died during the Harmattan season, her father, Obi, remarried a woman called Mama Ifeananya. At first, the woman smiled too sweetly. "You are my daughter now," she would say, brushing Amara's hair. But when Obi left for the farms each dawn, the sweetness curdled into bitterness. "Lazy girl. You think beauty will cook soup," she would hiss, throwing a broom at her. The elders often said Amara carried her late mother's blessing. The old women at the stream would whisper, "That child is protected." And indeed, whenever Amara fetched water from the great Crocodile River, the waters seemed calmer around her feet. The river, called Mwanye, was feared across the land. It was said spirits lived beneath its surface, and crocodiles were not ordinary beasts but messengers of the water goddess. Yet when Amara sang by its edge, even the wind paused to listen. Mama Ifeananya had her own daughter, Adiz, round-faced and sharp-tongued. Unlike Amara, Adiz's beauty did not glow, it demanded attention. "Why do people greet her first?" Adiz would complain. "Why do the young men bring her mangoes?" Mama Ifeananya's eyes darkened each time a neighbor praised Amara's manners. Jealousy is a seed that grows fastest in a bitter heart, and hers grew wildly. One evening, as moonlight spilled like milk across the compound, Mama Ifeananya spoke in a low voice to her daughter. "That girl must go. As long as she lives here, your star cannot shine." Adiz's breath trembled. "But how?" The older woman's gaze drifted toward the distant sound of the river, croaking with night creatures. "The Crocodile River takes what it wants, and returns nothing." Rumors traveled that Mama Ifeananya had begun visiting a dibia, a traditional spiritualist, deep in the forest beyond the Irako tree. His hut smelled of herbs and burnt feathers. "You seek removal," the old man rasped, staring at her through cataract-clouded eyes. "The river demands sacrifice. Blood for silence." She swallowed but nodded. "Will it be done?" she asked. The dibia poured white chalk into a calabash and chanted incantations. "Push her when the sun stands highest. The spirits are weakest at noon." "But remember," he warned, "the river does not forget injustice." Mama Ifeananya laughed lightly. "Water has no memory." But the old man only shook his head slowly. On the chosen day, Mama Ifeananya smiled more warmly than ever. "Amara, come. Let us fetch water together like mother and daughter." Amara's heart fluttered with rare joy. "Truly, Mama?" she asked. "Yes, my child," came the honeyed reply. As they walked the dusty path, the forest seemed uneasy. Birds flew low. The wind rustled sharply through dry leaves. When they reached Mwanye, the water shimmered strangely under the harsh noon sun. "Go closer," Mama Ifeananya urged softly. "Fill the pot properly." Amara bent down, humming softly. "Mama, the water feels warm today. Before she could rise, 2 hands struck her back with brutal force. She stumbled forward, her scream slicing through the air as she plunged into the dark river. "Mama!" she cried as the current swallowed her whole. Mama Ifeanyi stood frozen for a second. Then she forced tears into her eyes. "Oh no!" She slipped, she screamed to no one. But beneath the surface, something ancient stirred. The crocodiles did not attack. Instead, the water churned like a boiling pot. Amara expected teeth and darkness. Instead, she found light. She sank gently into a glowing underwater realm where fish shimmered like gold coins. Before her stood a majestic woman crowned with coral and pearls, the river goddess. "You are not meant to die," the goddess said, her voice like distant thunder softened by rain. "Your mother served me faithfully." Amara trembled. "Will I see my father again?" The goddess touched her forehead. "In time. But first, justice must rise like floodwater." Back in Umuoka, Mama Ifeanyi wailed dramatically. The river took her. The poor child slipped. Villagers shook their heads sorrowfully. Obi fell to his knees by the riverbank. "Amara! My daughter," he cried, beating his chest. But old Mama Nkechi narrowed her eyes. "The river was calm today," she muttered. "Too calm." That night, the drums beat slowly in mourning, yet the river hummed louder than usual. 3 nights after Amara's disappearance, strange things began to happen. Mama Ifeanyi woke to find her room soaked with river water. Footprints, wet and small, led from the doorway to her bed. "Adis," she screamed. "Did you pour water here?" But her daughter swore innocence. Outside, villagers reported seeing a glowing figure near the riverbank at midnight. "It was her," whispered one fisherman. "Amara walks with light." Fear crept into Mama Ifeanyi's bones. Obi dreamt of Amara standing beside Oshimiri Nwanyi. "Father," she called gently, "do not believe what you see." He reached for her, but she faded into mist. He awoke sweating. "The river hides truth," he murmured. Meanwhile, Mama Ifeanyi dreamt of crocodiles circling her. One spoke with human voice. "The river remembers." She woke screaming, clutching her chest. For the first time, Mama Ifeanyi felt something unfamiliar, fear turning into regret. "It was only a push," she whispered to herself. "I did not mean," but even she could not finish the sentence. The river outside roared unusually loud that night, though no rain had fallen. And deep beneath the waters, Amara's transformation had begun. Beneath Oshimiri Nwanyi, Amara no longer felt like the frightened girl who had fallen screaming into the depths. The river goddess adorned her wrists with shimmering bangles woven from silver reeds. "You are chosen," the goddess declared. "Your spirit is pure, and purity carries power." Amara's hair flowed like dark water around her shoulders as she stared at her reflection in a crystal pool, her eyes now held a faint blue glow. "What must I do?" she whispered. "Justice must walk on land again," the goddess replied. "But revenge is a fire that burns its owner. You must choose wisely." Amara bowed her head. She did not wish death upon her stepmother, only truth. Above the water, thunder rolled across a clear sky. The crocodiles of Oshimiri Nwanyi were no longer beasts to Amara. They bowed before her like royal guards. Their leader, an ancient scarred crocodile called Egumiri, spoke in a deep rumble. "Command us." Amara touched his rough snout gently. "No blood," she said. "Only truth." Egumiri blinked slowly. "Truth is sharper than teeth." The river shimmered in agreement. Mama Ifeanyi began to weaken. Her skin itched constantly as though invisible scales scratched beneath it. "Something is crawling under me," she cried. Adis trembled. "Mother, let us see the dibia again." But when they visited him, the old man refused to look at her. "You disturbed balance," he said coldly. "Remove it," she begged. The dibia shook his head. "The river has spoken. Only confession cools its anger." Obi could not rest. Each time he visited the river, the water lapped strangely at his feet, almost lovingly. "If my daughter lives, show me a sign," he whispered. Suddenly, a fish leaped from the water and landed beside him, its scales glowing faintly blue. Old Mama Nkechi watched quietly. "The river does not swallow innocence," she murmured. One moonlit night, villagers gathering firewood froze in terror. A radiant figure rose halfway from the river, Amara, glowing softly. She did not speak. She only looked toward her father's hut before sinking back beneath the surface. By morning, the entire village buzzed. "The girl lives with spirits," some said. Mama Ifeanyi's heart pounded like a drum of war. Adiz began dreaming of water filling her lungs. "Mother," she sobbed, "we should confess." Mama Ifeanyi slapped her. "Silence. It was an accident." Yet her own hands trembled. At night, the sound of crocodile tails slapping water echoed across the compound. The annual festival honoring the river goddess approached. Drums echoed. Women wore coral beads. Offerings of yam and kola nuts were placed at the bank. The priestess lifted her staff. "The river demands cleansing." Mama Ifeanyi felt every eye glance briefly at her. Mid-ceremony, the priestess stiffened. Her voice changed, deepening. "A lie floats among you." Gasps rippled. Blood was offered unwillingly. Mama Ifeanyi's knees weakened. "Confess," the priestess commanded. But silence answered. That night, lightning flashed without clouds. Wind howled violently around Mama Ifeanyi's hut. Water seeped from the floor again, rising to her ankles. "Forgive me," she screamed into the darkness. The river roared louder than thunder. Amara rose again, this time fully emerging from the water. "Father," she called gently. Obi stumbled forward, tears streaming. "My child." She touched his forehead. "I live." The villagers fell prostrate in awe. Amara turned toward Mama Ifeanyi. Her voice was calm but heavy. "Why?" The stepmother collapsed. "Jealousy blinded me," she cried. "I pushed you." A collective gasp filled the air. Crocodiles surfaced, surrounding the bank in a perfect circle. Egumiri's eyes glowed. "Justice," he rumbled. Mama Ifeanyi screamed in terror. Amara raised her hand. "No blood." The river goddess's voice echoed from the waters. "Punishment or mercy?" Amara closed her eyes. She remembered every insult, every slap. "I choose truth and exile." The priestess spoke again. "Mama Ifeanyi and her daughter shall leave Umuoka before sunrise. They may never draw water from Oshimiri again." Shame burned hotter than fire. Mama Ifeanyi wept openly. "Forgive me," she begged Amara. But forgiveness does not erase consequence. At dawn, she and Adiz left the village barefoot, carrying only a small bundle. The river goddess rose once more. "Your heart chose mercy," she told Amara. "Therefore, prosperity shall follow you." Amara felt warmth fill her chest. Amara stepped fully onto land, no longer glowing but changed forever. The villagers embraced her with tears. Obi held her tightly. "My daughter returned from death." Amara's presence brought abundance. Crops flourished unusually well. Fish multiplied in the river. "She carries divine favor," elders whispered. Suitors began visiting. One day, a noble traveler from a distant kingdom arrived. Prince Chinedu had heard tales of the girl blessed by the river. When he saw Amara, he bowed respectfully. Your courage humbles me, he said softly. Chinedu remained in Umuoka for weeks. Unlike others, he did not seek her for glory but for her wisdom. Pain did not make you cruel, he observed. Amara smiled faintly. The river taught me restraint. Love blossomed gently. Word arrived that Mama Ifeanyi and Adie struggled in a distant village. Rejected and poor, they faced hunger. Amara felt a flicker of pity. Shall we send food? She asked her father. Despite protests from some villagers, Amara sent yams and cloth secretly. Let them live, she said. Let regret be their teacher. Obi nodded proudly. Receiving the food, Mama Ifeanyi broke down. The child I tried to kill now feeds me, she sobbed. True remorse pierced her heart. Adie's whispered, we wronged an angel. Prince Chinedu formally asked for Amara's hand. Drums thundered with joy. I will honor her strength, he vowed before elders. Amara agreed, her heart steady. The wedding blended river rituals and royal customs. The priestess poured sacred water over their hands. May balance guide your home. Even Ashimiri shimmered brightly that day. Amara moved to the prince's kingdom but never forgot Umuoka. She built wells so no child would fetch water alone. The river saved me, she often said. Years later, Mama Ifeanyi, frail and humbled, returned to Umuoka seeking forgiveness openly. Villagers murmured. Amara welcomed her quietly. Before the entire village, Mama Ifeanyi knelt. Jealousy made me a monster. Forgive me. Tears fell freely. Amara lifted her gently. Stand. Forgiveness did not erase scars, but it healed wounds. Mama Ifeanyi chose to serve at the river shrine in repentance. Even the priestess nodded approval. Agumiri surfaced one final time before Amara. Balance restored, he rumbled. She touched the water gratefully. Amara gave birth to a daughter whose eyes shimmered faintly blue at birth. Elders smiled knowingly. The river's mark, they whispered. Amara taught her child about mercy. Strength without kindness becomes tyranny, she would say. The kingdom flourished. A grand festival honored Ashimiri yearly thereafter. Songs told Amara's story. Children listened wide-eyed. The Crocodile River was no longer feared but respected. No unjust act occurred near its banks again. The water flowed peacefully. Adie's married a humble farmer and lived honestly. She carried her lesson quietly. Regret reshaped her heart. Obi grew old peacefully, proud of his daughter. You turned tragedy into grace, he told her. He passed away with a smile. From beneath the waters, the river goddess observed generations thrive. Justice, once served, allowed harmony. In her later years, Amara visited Ashimiri alone. Thank you, she whispered to the river. The water glowed softly in reply. Bards traveled across kingdoms telling of the girl who fell into crocodile waters and returned blessed. Her tale became legend. Even now, elders of Umuoka say if you stand quietly at Ashimiri Nwanyi at noon, you may see faint blue light beneath the surface.